Welcome to Talkin with Dave. Here's Dave.
Hey, how we doing out there? Giddy up. What's happening? I hope you're doing well. I am top shelf, and I'm pretty excited. I've been thinking about some things, just simple things, in the past, and this came up the other day, and it brought up a question I used to ask a lot when I was, sales manager, coaching people, trying to grow sales, which was my job. Always is. It's all of our jobs. We're all salespeople, and we want to get better. Well, one of the things I used to ask salespeople when we go in and they were having trouble with a deal that has stalled or trying to get into a new account, something like that, I would ask them the question, what have you tried that hasn't worked? And we would talk about it. They would have various answers that we'll talk about. But it's also, to me, it's a good question. It's a powerful tool for that reason. Also, just in my time now, because I asked myself the other day when I was dealing with a situation, all right, well, what have I tried that hasn't worked? I'm thinking, well, goodness, that's what I used to ask people. But it's a powerful tool, whether it's personal growth, strategic selling. It's not hurting anybody's ego. It cuts out excuses. We're strategizing here. It takes away some of the guesswork. And it's not accusatory at all. What it does, it invites reflection, look back at what's going on. It's very effective because it's both self-improvement and strategy. What have I tried that hasn't worked? So think about it. If we're debugging a problem, here's why that simple question works. It takes blame out of the situation. Most people blame circumstances, or they blame other people, or it's bad luck. It's just bad luck. The question forces them to pause and think about, okay, effort equals outcome. Okay, so what have I tried that hasn't worked? That's one reason. Takes you out of that blame loop. Okay? Also, it moves from feelings to facts. Oh my goodness, feelings. Never did like that song. Feelings, nothing more than I never have liked that song. When it came out, it was so popular, just like, And now, when everybody gets so emotional and dramatic, I hear that song in my mind. But it takes feelings out of the way and talks about facts. It takes from a conversation from, I'm stuck. All right? Here's what I did that didn't work, which is far more actionable. All right, maybe you're checking stuff off the list. Well, I tried that and it didn't work. Okay, great. Okay, what else? What else have you tried that hasn't worked? And you find maybe possible solutions, or maybe you look at how you tried it. Maybe you can check. You're not starting from zero, but what you are starting with, it's facts instead of just feelings, and it shows patterns. If it hasn't worked, then, why keep doing the same thing if it's not working? Maybe you're in a rut. Maybe your behaviors need a little changing, but it's not a mystery. Because this has not worked. Let's talk about why. You're not dealing with any blame. And also, when you look at it, both introspectively, but then as I did when I was talking to salespeople, and still do, it uncovers blind spots. If they can't name anything they've tried, well, that's telling. And inaction, that's not a strategy. It's a choice. It's just a really bad choice to do nothing. I'm trying to get healthier. Well, what have you tried that didn't work? Well, Or you're frustrated with your job. Well, what are you doing to change the situation? Either find a new job or change your situation at work. The answers to those put a light on what needs to change. Is it the plan or the method or the level of effort. It was fantastic for me as a sales manager because, quite honestly, a lot of times, I got this. What have you tried that hasn't worked? Well, I was thinking about, okay, yeah, okay, all right, well, that's a good thought. What have you tried, though, that hasn't worked? And sometimes when I saw, maybe a little, that was hitting a little too hard, what have you tried that hasn't worked yet? Maybe tell me what you're doing here, and maybe it's just, hey, it's going to work eventually. I don't know. I'm pretty easygoing with stuff like that. Let's just keep trying. That's the main thing. For salespeople, that question, it works because it shows a level of respect. We're partnering here. So to get me up to speed, what have you tried that hasn't worked? I mean, you're not assuming that they're clueless. You're not asking them to reflect on their own effort. I mean, that is what you're doing. You're asking them to reflect on their own efforts. Whether it's finding a vendor, solving a supply problem, or, even managers, managing a team. People have come to me like, this guy, I know he's got the talent. I know he's got the training, and he's got a good territory, but he's just not getting there. Okay, well, as a sales manager, as his manager, what have you tried that hasn't worked? It's beautiful. It's a great place to start. Also, it builds trust. You're not pushing your solutions on them. You're inviting them to share their pain points and what their plan has been. You're not judging. You're just asking a question. And it uncovers, this is key, it uncovers urgency. If they've tried 5 things and failed, they're probably ready to hear something different. I've done this and this and this, and that didn't work? Wow. All right, tell me more. You see they're trying now. Now you're building trust. You're showing respect. But also, it exposes some inertia. And what I mean by that is, if they haven't tried anything, that opens the door to challenge their comfort zone a little bit. Not challenge their attitude or their effort or their willingness. There's something, they're maybe in a comfort zone. You can challenge that. Or maybe they're just, we'll go over the reasons why they don't, but maybe they're just, adverse to risk. They don't want to do that. So all of this, it uncovers it with a simple question. The practical use of this, whether you're talking to a sales guy, whether you're talking to a sales leader, anybody, somebody who owns their own business and struggling, to somebody who has got some challenges with a relationship or whatever. Before I tell you my thoughts, I'm curious. What have you tried to fix this that hasn't worked, no matter what it is? It's a key question, and I love it. I love it. Or maybe the question is, what's burned you in the past that's keeping you from trying something new? That's a little deeper. That's showing some understanding. Now you're not just selling, you're diagnosing a problem. It's something doctors ask questions. I posted something the other day, 10 things doctors ask, what we say and what they already know. So, to some degree, if I am being consulted, they think I know some stuff. So I'm helping them diagnose the problems, but it's always great to ask questions. Questions are the best tool we've got in solving challenges at home, work, or play. Home, work, or play. That's the way it is. The people really don't buy a solution until they believe the problem is real and understood. Otherwise, it's just taking a chance. And, sometimes people are risk averse. So really, there's a deeper truth behind the question, too. The question is also, it's meant to drive home a bigger point. Not just, not trying is as risky as trying and failing. And that hits home there. Because a lot of people, the reason they don't try is they're afraid to fail. Why haven't you tried this? Well, they'll make all sorts of faces. they'll get all defensive and all contorted and tell you everything except, I was afraid I'd fail. Not trying is just as risky as trying and failing. You know, when people hear themselves say, honestly, I haven't tried much. Oh, that hits them. And it's like that lands differently. It exposes, avoidance disguised as caution. It reframes failure not as a setback, but as a sign of movement. So the thing is, it is the question behind the question. It's very important. And by asking it to yourself, it does the same thing. And if you can't be honest with yourself, well, we got some other challenges there. But a lot of times, you know what? We're not until we dig in. So how do we use this effectively? Tone matters when you're talking to somebody else. Ask with curiosity, not with sarcasm. I remember one time a guy came to the car. I had a call, and we were making calls, and we go up, and I'm on a call, and I just said, why don't you just make this call on your own, and I'll wait on you here. And so we had gone over exactly what we were going to say in the account, pre-call planning, all of that. He comes back, and I asked him, well, who are they using for this? And he said, well, they didn't say. Oh, they didn't say. Did you ask? No. Well, no wonder they didn't say. So see, tone matters, and if I was sarcastic, that would have been different. But ask with curiosity, not sarcasm, which is difficult for me sometimes. I'm a pretty sarcastic guy. But you're pulling insights. You're not putting somebody on trial here. So it's, like I said, okay, we got this going on. Here's what we want to do. All right, just so I don't waste your time, what have you tried that hasn't worked? That good tone. Don't rush past the answer either. Even if it's silence, man, just be quiet. Next one to talk loses. Nah, we're just trying to help them here. Use silence and let them think. Well, because they may think they've tried something. They really may. Or maybe they think they've tried a lot of things, and really they've only tried a couple, but they've intended to try more. And then you follow that up with a little bit, with permission. Would you like a different approach? You mind if I point out something that I'm seeing that you may be too close to see? And there you go. Let them invite you in. Because whether you're trying to improve your own life, help somebody improve theirs or change theirs, the question isn't really, it's more about accountability without shame. Nobody likes shame. If anybody digs in and likes shaming people, well, I don't want to be around them. So it's about turning motion into progress. Giving some insight that can be built into a strategy. What have you tried that hasn't worked? If the answer is nothing, that's where the work begins. All right. So we've got an open slate rather than, why haven't you tried anything? Well, no wonder you're failing. Well, no wonder your wife's about to leave you. Well, no wonder your car won't start. No. All right, you haven't tried anything yet? Okay. Then the world is our oyster. If the answer is everything, I've tried everything, man. All right. That's where other things begin. Great. Let me know, because now we're going to move the needle. The challenge is an excuse mindset. And drives me crazy. When I catch myself making excuses instead of reasons, excuses for a lack of action, I disappoint myself. And it happens. It does. When you ask, what have you tried that hasn't worked, especially to people who are lazy, risk averse, or if they're stuck in a loop, if they're stuck in routine or a comfort zone, you'll get some crazy answers. They're going to be cop-outs. It's going to be deflection, maybe a half-hearted admission, but usually that admission comes with an excuse. Yeah, well, I've tried, but it's just so crazy with this traffic. Everything's under construction here. And I'm having to take my kids to work now because of blah, 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 and blah, 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 and yada, yada, yada. Come on. We're here to help. We're here to help. I'm not a psychologist with a couch, although I sometimes need to be. But here's the breakdown of the common responses. I mean, I've heard this for years. I think the first time I asked this question, it had to be 2001-ish. So it's going on 25 years. I've been asking this question. And so the thing is, the common responses, and this is no matter if you're coaching, if you're selling, if you're leading, no matter what, the common answers you get from people that are risk averse or lazy is, I just haven't had time, man. Haven't had time. Translation, I prioritized everything else except progress in this particular situation. Time wasn't the issue. You know what the issue was? Say it with me. Focus. Focus. Maybe they're unorganized. Maybe there are all these other things. But there's always a reason behind that lack of organization, that lack of preparation, all of that stuff. So, we reframe it a little bit. Okay, so the problem's not the goal, it's the priority. Want help flipping that? Haven't had time. Well, I don't like that anyway. I haven't made the time? Okay, now we're closer. It's really not been a priority. Boom. Want some help flipping that? Help. Offer help. Now, when you're talking to yourself, if you don't have someone else to talk about this, realize that. I haven't had time. Well, be honest, I've had time to do all this other stuff. I haven't missed, the other night I binge watched something on Netflix, and I was up till 2:30 in the morning, so I slept late. Yeah, I was tired that morning, but what a show. Ozark. Oh, nah. Okay, it wasn't a priority. The goal wasn't a priority. I need to flip that. Okay? Another answer. I looked into it, but I just didn't follow through. Translation? Yeah, I dabbled. I got distracted, and I gave up or forgot about it. Fear of failure masked as indecision. How many times have I seen people get right up to the door or right in front of a customer or in the parking lot, and all of a sudden, something happened. Usually when I'm in the car with them, they'll follow through. But when they're alone, any reason not to follow through, there it is. Sounds like maybe an answer is, sounds like you really didn't give it a full effort there. You really didn't give it a chance. Maybe that's why it hasn't worked yet. What if we follow through with it and really give it our all this time? Something like that. Meaning, it's a great idea. That's a great plan. You just didn't follow through with it. Let's try it again, but this time, boom, swing for the fences. There's ways to do this. You can say that to yourself. I really didn't give that a chance. I don't know why that didn't work. Well, the reason why it didn't work is you didn't really give it your all. I get this one all the time. I'm just waiting for the right time. Waiting for the right time. Yeah. Whether it's cleaning out the garage or asking a girl out or doing whatever with a sales career. Basically, I'm not waiting for the right time. I'm stalling till either someone fixes this for me, till she asks me out, till someone does an introduction that makes it easier on me. And until then, I can just blame somebody else. Perfect timing doesn't exist. It exists in retrospect. I believe things happen for a reason, when they happen for a reason, and when you look back, that's perfect timing. My timing, it ain't perfect, and I don't think yours is either. So if you're waiting for the right time to move something along, it's not going to come. But that's your excuse. So the way to look at this, what exactly would make it the right time? Good follow-up. How long are you willing to wait? You're going to be sad and lonely your whole life? You need money? Okay, well, how long are you willing to wait on activities that can earn you more money? How long are you willing to wait to call that person and make amends? How long are you willing to wait to do the things you know you need to do? Because most of these people, most of these situations, I don't know if you've caught it yet, they know what to do. They're just not doing it for some reason. Why are they not doing it? I don't want to make things worse. I just don't want to make things worse. That's your change. That's change fear. I fear change more than I feel staying stuck. As long as you're not going to fire me, I'm okay. Yeah. The reality is this is risk aversion to change, dressed up as, I really know everything here and I don't want to make things worse. I'm really thoughtful. I'm really wise. That's why I'm holding off. So, it almost sounds like a Rush song, but doing nothing is still a decision. Is the pain of now really less than the pain of trying something new, trying something smarter? Even at the risk of making it worse, how long are you willing to put up with this current level of pain? Yeah, good question. Again, I tried once and it didn't work. Well, okay. All right. So, what did you expect? Do you expect to work, boom, instantly? Zero friction here. I just expected, a genie to come out and poof. Yeah. The one and done, I tried. Boom. Give me a participation trophy. That's laziness, really. The one and done, it's laziness. But the way to reframe that is, what if success means falling a few times? You'll get it right on the 6th time. And then you show them what getting it right means. If you get it wrong 5 times, okay, that's rough, dude. However, what would getting it right? What's the reward for that? Isn't that worth trying multiple times? If it's the right thing to do, you already have the answer. You just got to do it till it works. And that's where help comes in. Yeah. Well, and then another one. I talked to somebody about it. Well, you're talking to me about it right now. I talked to somebody about it, which is basically, I vented and got some sympathy, and I felt better for a bit. Other people are failing, and so they were failing. So I felt better, the fact that I'm stuck. Please. Talk is cheap. Also, talk is not cheap. Talk is costly, because when you're talking, you're not doing anything. Yeah. So the question there, what did you do after that conversation? Sit in a beanbag chair and eat Cheetos? Yeah. So that's it. That is an excuse. All of these right now are excuses. Then you get them. Oh, you're going to get more excuses than you're going to get, especially if they're in a negative mindset as far as action. And then I get that. I've been thinking about that a lot. I've really been thinking about it a lot. Which means I've rehearsed my excuses in hypothetical scenarios for an occasion just like this. Well, thinking can be as bad as talking. Thinking is not acting. What's one thing you could act on today? You've been thinking about it. Okay, all right. What's one thing, since you've been thinking about it, what's one thing that we could do today? Some urgency. You're just picking one thing. Have they been thinking about it? They've been thinking of reasons not to do it. Probably. Now, I'm being negative here just because there's a lack of action, and I'm hearing a lot of excuses. After a while, I get a little tired of it. Another one. I don't want to waste effort on something that won't work. I don't want to get that lottery ticket. It's just $2 million. I'm going to wait till it gets on up there, about 5 or 6. I'm going to stick all my money in commemorative plates until that comes along. I don't want to waste effort on something that won't work. Well, congratulations. You're not. I can guarantee you that what you're doing is not working. It's almost like you want a guarantee before you're going to do anything. There are no guarantees. Progress has no guarantee. It has a trajectory, though. Keep getting better. Keep getting better. Get no's until you get a yes. At least you're trying, and people see that you're trying. The way to reframe that one is, okay, is staying here a better bet than trying something that might work? Won't work? I don't know. It might work. So don't go from it will work, won't work, to will work. How about from won't work to might work? That's maybe that'll get some movement. I think an honest answer, not that these aren't honest, they're just not good. An honest answer would be, man, I don't know where to start. I've heard that so many times. And that I actually, depending on the situation, I actually like that one. Because that one is, man, I'm overwhelmed. I got so many choices. I don't know the right way to go. And that's actually a cry for help. They probably don't know where to start. I mean, they probably do know where to start. They just don't. That first step is scary, or they don't trust themselves. So this is a little better. So let's just simplify it, and you let them know, hey, what's one thing we could try that wouldn't be so scary? It wouldn't scare you off. It wouldn't make you abandon ship. Because, hey, what you're feeling is normal. What can we do? I'm here to help you. What can we do? Is it the first step or is it the second step? Because I can help you with the first step and then you're good to go with the second. All sorts of stuff. However, how many times have you been in a situation with your finances or your health or your relationships where it's so messed up, man, I don't know where to start? Been there. That's why we have that getting to a good place process. However, let's simplify it. What's one thing we can do that'd be a good start that wouldn't scare you off? It doesn't have to be the right step, but it's a step. And then the last excuse I'll go over now, because I've got about 100 of them. It's, well, I'm just waiting to see what happens. We'll see. I'm just waiting to see what happens. So basically, you've outsourced your future to fate. Come on. People say I'm just being patient. I'm just going to wait and say, that's not patience. That's passive. And people being satisfied with a lack of resolution. It's rough. I mean, hope is not a strategy. If it keeps going like this, where are you going to be, man? What's going to happen in 6 months? You could lose your job. You're going to put me in a bad situation. You're going to lose finances. You're going to lose your health. You need to start walking and just go wait and see what happens. No, man, let's go for a walk. Let's walk and talk. All of these are things, but most people, they're not honest with themselves about a lack of action. So they surely aren't honest with somebody else. They wrap it up in logic or fear or busyness. Yeah, but these responses, they're patterns. And patterns can be interrupted. I love it. Whether you're leading yourself or you're leading a client or a team, the question exposes the truth. What are you doing or not doing is already giving you a result. Up to this point, whatever action or inaction, this is what it's given you. How's that working for you? And then let that breathe. How's that working for you? Excuse mindset. We got to stop. We got to stop with the excuses. No matter where you are, as a person, stop with the excuses and dig in. Because there are 5 characteristics that people who consistently take that path of excuse giving instead of action. I mean, they're either comfort addicts, which means they wrap themselves in a comfortable routine, an emotional bubble wrap, and they fear discomfort more than progress. Oh, I can't get uncomfortable. I mean, even you can paint them a picture of how it will be, but oh, wait a minute. Do I have to get out of my bubble? They're allergic to uncertainty. or struggle or anything that might cause temporary pain. Can you imagine that? Pain is everywhere, and their current situation is leading them to horrible pain, yet they're comfortable. They label, the way to see these people, they label themselves as, it's just not meant to be. It's not meant to be. So they confuse comfort with destiny or wisdom or something like that. So you have to show them that comfort is a reward, not a starting point. You're comfortable when you've accomplished something. Right now, you're just delaying an inevitable discomfort. And so there's ways to do that. Also, you've got your people that are overthinking. I mean, they're overthinkers that are masquerading as planners. Oh, yeah, here we go. That's what we do. Oh, I've seen this. I'll get together with, where are we going to go tomorrow? And they list 10 places, and they tell me about every place and, the people and their personalities. And, oh, my goodness, it's fantastic. When's the last time you saw them? Oh, it's probably been, let me think. It's been, let's see, it was last time I saw them, and they can't come up with it. So they're planning, but they never hit the go button. They analyze stuff. They analyze stuff until action almost feels like, I've got everything. This is a lot of work here. I'll get to that. I'm set up. I'm ready to go. But they romanticize action and planning and the clarity on the mission, but they don't do anything. They don't create any momentum. I just need a little more information. That's what they say. I need to look up a few things. I'd go there, but I need to make sure of da-da-da-da-da. They believe preparation. They confuse preparation with progress, or they confuse confuse activity with productivity. I've told people over and over, and those of you who've worked with me or around me rolling your eyes right now, you don't get paid for actions. You get paid for actions that produce results. Ring the cash register. So the thing you got to point out to, no plan survives the first contact. After that first contact, all right, now you've got to change. You've got to adjust. You've got to take this in. You've got to get more clarity around that, not the other way around. Then you got second contact, but no plan survives past the first contact, because that's when you're getting information. You may have an idea, but you're going to have to make adjustments along the way. If you don't do that first step, there's no adjustments. Then you got these people, and I'm not one, but they're scared perfectionists. They'd rather not try than to risk looking foolish or unprepared or have a question asked they can't answer. Perfection isn't the goal. It's the excuse for not acting. It's self-sabotage. But they think it's under noble circumstances, or the noble moniker of, I'm going to do it right. If I can't do it right, I'm not doing it at all. Well, that's what you're doing. Come on. They're in a trap there. They measure success in imaginary flawless outcomes. This is just unattainable. So you have to reframe this as failure is feedback. It's not a flaw. You need to reset your goals. It's not go in and do it all at once. It's go in and find out some information and come back. Failure, it's feedback. Take it. These people struggle with it. And sometimes it's not excuses. It is an internal wiring that's hard to overcome. Oh, and then I love the narrative builders. They're skilled at storytelling. They're fantastic. Especially about why it's not their fault. Oh, their turnover is so bad. I get it up to a certain point and I go back in and now I got to start all over again. And then you got this and blah, blah, blah. They can weave you a story. But it's really, that's why it's not my fault. And excuses, they're not just protection. It's a performance because they're a storyteller. Their backstory always starts with, there's a villain involved here. or a bad break or bad luck. They're more committed to the story than they are to a possible solution. So, I mean, you can ask, if your story was a lie, what would you do differently tomorrow? What would you, if this wasn't true, all of this, if some of the things that you've been told is going on weren't true, how would you act differently tomorrow? There's many different things. Then the last one I'll go over is you got your low ownership thinkers. They treat life like it's happening to them, not because of them. Everything that's happened to them, they are the victim. Blame, wait, defer, point fingers, the economy, their boss, their spouse. Maybe Mercury's in retrograde. They didn't get enough hugs as a kid. I don't know. Their favorite line is, "I can't because fill in the blank." Yeah. They outsource the power to circumstances. So you got to remind them, responsibility isn't blame, it's authority over the outcome. Own it. And a lot of you are thinking, "Hey, I don't do any of these things, and I'm still struggling." Fantastic. Not that you're struggling. All right. So what have you tried that hasn't worked? Let's get to work. This is fantastic. Excuse makers are lazy. I'm not saying you're lazy, and I'm not saying you're making excuses. But when you catch those things, because I'm talking to you today for someone you're trying to help. And if they're making excuses, there's ways to reframe it. Because they're usually smart. Yeah, they're self-protective, but also, you know what? They're scared. They're scared. But if you give those traits a better direction, they become resourceful and resilient and unstoppable. I've always said the most feared animal in the animal kingdom is a salesman once you take away all their excuses. Whoo, get out of the way, man. Cut the excuses, not the person. Cut the excuses, not the person. And if it's you, recognize the behavior. It's not your identity. Then get to work. Boom. Then get to work. So that's the thing. The way to break down that excuse mindset or your own missteps and take real meaningful risks to change your life or change your process or change your results. That's what we're looking for. And there's some things that we can do here. First of all, call yourself out. Do it out loud. I talk to myself constantly. I love the phrase that I talked about in one of a recent O-Talk is, don't listen to yourself, talk to yourself. Listening to yourself will ruin your day. Talk to yourself. Say your excuse out loud, like you're testifying in court. Excuses shrink when they're exposed. I didn't apply because I was scared of not getting it. Okay, I said it. There's a promotion coming up. Everybody's telling me I should get it, but what if I don't? What if I do? You start going negative, and it's like, I'm not going to apply. Because everybody thinks I should get it, and if I don't, it's going to be embarrassing. So I'm just going to say, I'm just too busy. I really don't want that. I got too much going on right now. With everything going on at home, and blah, 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 blah. I'm just too busy for that now. Come on. The reason to go for it? Owning your fear gives you power over it. Pretending it's not there just makes it stronger and bigger. You're giving it power. I got many examples of overcoming fear. Face it, eat it, swallow it, and do whatever else. You're not going to be afraid of that anymore if you can do that. So call yourself out. Give it a name. Also, make failure a requirement. I love this task and this thought. It's not a risk, it's a requirement. What this will do, you're looking at failure and say, this is required. So I need to hear 10 no's this week. I'm going to make them tell me no 10 times. Or I'm going to do this X number of times. It trains your brain to see rejection as part of the process. Not proof that you suck. Yeah, I'm gonna go at them till they tell me no. I'm gonna keep getting yeses until they tell me no. Okay, all right, got it. Reason to go for it is you're not failing, you're not learning. Remember what I said earlier. If you fail, you learn something. Failing is feedback. You know what? And if you're not failing, you're not learning. If you're not learning, you're stuck right where you swore you didn't want to be. So it's not failure. And don't be afraid of failure. Now, if we're talking about, if the risk is so big, if you fail, all is lost, well, we can talk about that. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about action, moving things forward. Don't be afraid of that. It's easy for me to say. Don't be afraid of it, because what you're going to do is you're going to learn for the next time. Also, shrink the risk if you need to, but not the dream. Break your big, scary goal into a bunch of we've talked about this, smaller steps, smaller achievements, and then do one of them right now. Do it. Courage doesn't grow in planning more. It grows in motion. Plan it, prepare for it, and do it. If I could get people to move forward when they're 70, 80% ready. Sometimes you learn on the way. The best stuff I have done, I have learned while I'm going. An as-you-go mentality. The only way to feel brave is to act before you're ready. When you think you're totally ready and you fail then, now you're going to question everything. Bravery is, I'm not quite ready, but you do it anyway. Confidence will be your reward then. It's not a requirement. Confidence is not a requirement. Bravery is many times. I love it. So what's your stuck story? That's another thing. What is it? What is your stuck story? Why are you stuck here? Yeah. What do you think? Why you can't? Tell me why you can't. Why is now not the time? Why is it too hard? What is it? Write it down if you need to. This is why I can't. Then rip that bad boy up. You can rewrite anything, but if you're clinging to this excuse, a stuck story, well, you might as well get it tattooed on you, because that's going to define you. The reason to go for it. You got to have a reason to go for it. And the story you're living is one edit away from a breakthrough. I can't do this because I'm not smart enough. Okay, well, who's doing it before you? Maybe you're comparing yourself to them. What does this entail? What does it need? A phone call? You're smart enough to make a phone call. I don't know what to say. Maybe that's what you say. You're trying to repair a relationship? Maybe that's what you say. You call them. Look, I want to make this right, but I don't know what to say. And listen. That takes bravery. It does. But you're not just sitting here hoping something changes. You got to want it. You got to want it. So your stuck story is very important, but you got to write the ending and get unstuck. Another thing you can do, and I've seen a lot of people do this, and I love it as well, is create some sort of accountability before you're ready. Accountability. Tell someone what you want. Tell someone what you're going to do. And when you'll tell them, okay, I want to do this by this date. A lot of people do this with fitness goals, with weight loss, with income goals, all sorts of stuff, with quotas, all of this. And then say, will you check me on this? I had a good friend not long ago call me in tears and said, basically, hey, I need to take care of this, and I need you to push me. And he's very, very colorful with his wording. I need you to kick my butt until I do this. Beautiful. And I did. You'll either fall with it or admit you flaked out on it. You'll either follow through or admit you flaked out on it. Neither feels good, but that's what's going to push you. An accountability partner. Somebody going to pick you up and take you to the gym. Well, I got to get ready. They're counting on me. Yeah, that's very important. Accountability beats willpower every time. It does. And pressure, that's not the enemy. That's where growth comes from. So all of these things, that's a way to punch it, to get you off dead center. Excuses are just stories that we tell ourselves to avoid perceived pain. Come on. What's more painful than regret? And regret hurts a heck of a lot longer. It affects other things. So you got to go for it. Because the future does not care about your excuses. It only responds to your actions. And it's important. So I think just 5 practical, no fluff ways to create action when you got some uncertainty, some timidity and fear, and you feel stuck. All right. Just 5. Shrink the battlefield. Don't try to solve everything. Pick one and do something. One call, one decision, one uncomfortable but necessary moment. Action's not about confidence, remember. It's about momentum. Start pushing. So shrink the battlefield. Borrow courage. Don't wait for it. And by borrow, I mean, you don't need to feel brave. You just need to act like someone who is. Borrow it. And on the way, you're going to, oh, there it is. Oh, I've got some courage. Where'd that come from? Thank you. I don't know where I borrowed that, but I've got it now. What would the bold version of me do? Ask yourself that. If I had courage, what would I do? And then do it. Fear hates that. Fear hates it. It's scared to death of it, borrowed or not. So shrink the battlefield. Borrow some courage until you've got your own. And schedule it now before you second guess it. Put it on the calendar. It's not someday. It's Thursday at 10 o'clock. Thursday at 10 o'clock. Timid minds are going to stall. Brave minds put it on paper and show up. And if today's Wednesday, Thursday at 10 is fine. If today's Tuesday, hey, if today's Tuesday morning, how about this afternoon at 2 o'clock? Not how about this afternoon at 2 o'clock. I borrowed some courage. I'm shrinking the battlefield. Ugh. If you put it off, you're going to second guess it. Shrink the battlefield. Borrow some courage. Schedule it now. Say it out loud to someone who's going to hold you accountable. Hey, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it Thursday at 10 o'clock. I don't know what I'm doing, but man, I'm going to all in. I want to do all of this stuff, but I'm going to pick this one thing and I'm going to do it Thursday at 10. How about you call me at noon and ask me how it went? How about that? If I can count on you. And they'll love it because they want to. They want the best of you. They want the best for you. And then rehearse the worst. Then do it anyway. What do I mean by that? What's the worst case scenario? What's the worst thing that could happen? Say it. Say it out loud. I ask her out. She says no. What's the worst? She says no and laughs. Okay, what's the worst? Okay. Yeah. I go to a job interview. I don't do well. I don't get the job. Okay. All right. Okay. I try to make a relationship better. I show up and they don't go for it, or they don't show up at all. Is that the worst thing that could happen? Okay. All right. Think of the worst case scenario, but go anyway. And now you've already lived it out. You probably survived worse than what the worst case scenario is. And chances are, and you know what I'm going to say, hardly ever, if ever, does the worst case scenario happen. But you've already prepared for it. Once you name that fear of the worst case scenario, it has no leverage on you. Do it. What if it goes right? What in the world would you do if it went right? She said yes. You got the job. You repaired a relationship. It's fantastic. But it's action. It's movement. You tried something and it worked. Worst case scenario, you tried it and it didn't work. Okay, what do we do next? Action doesn't need certainty. It just needs a push, man. Waiting to feel ready, it's just fear with better manners. Move. Move anyway. What's hanging on your to-do list or my to-do list or my challenges at home, work, or play? What are these things we need to do to make more money, to be better at our job, to be a better husband, father, brother, sister, friend? What are some things I want to do out there that I've not done because of all these excuses? What have I tried that hasn't worked? Okay, let's go through this list. What can you try? What will you try? Do you need some help? What's the first action? When will you take it? What can you try? What will you try? Do you need some help? What's the first action? When are you going to do it? Let me know how it goes. Let me know how it goes. What have you tried that hasn't worked? Give it a shot, man. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. Hit me up at david@otalks.com or david@otalks.com. Go to otalks.com. Updated the website a little bit. Got some good stuff there. If you need to book me to speak, book me for a masterclass of some sort. I'm doing a lot of seminars now. Or just, hey, you're already hanging out with Talking with Dave. That should be enough, right? But I appreciate it. I appreciate you, your support more than ever. And I appreciate you, Talking with Dave. Giddy up.
Hey there. Are you having computer problems and can't get the help you need? Is there a language barrier or other obstacles that make you feel insignificant and unappreciated? We know just how you feel, and we are here to help. We are the Amish Tech Team. The Amish Tech Team is known for their work ethic, quality craftsmanship, and attention to detail. The Amish Tech Team will ride to your house, assess the situation, and leave you feeling good about the experience. Oh, Jedediah was just a lovely young man. He didn't fix my computer, but he built me a new desk, repaired my roof, and planted 2 rows of corn in the backyard. All of our technicians at the Amish Tech Team are English speaking, respect traditions, and know their way around a grist mill. Send a letter by mail or carrier pigeon today, and when we get it, we will hop in the first buggy available and head out to your place. And the first 10 requests will get a complimentary jar of sorghum or an Amish Tech Team horseshoe to use as a paperweight. It's a real horseshoe. You don't have to put up with services that put you on hold or talk funny. Contact the Amish Tech Team and we'll be right out as soon as we get your message. And get free of our chores and load up the buggy and travel to your place, depending on traffic and the weather and those dad-blame motorized vehicles and all those bright lights and shiny signs that keep distracting the horse and tempting the